Hi, this is Bruce Blue Sky Video Productions. Today, more than ever, you really need to have your own personal brand, how to stand out, whether you're a company or even an individual employee, because as a personal brand, people will follow you more than the company itself. So how do you divide yourself between you and your company if you're the company? And to talk about that is Ramon Ray, and bring him on right now.
Hey, Bruce, nice to be here. Thanks for having me. And I love the intro music and all that. It's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so you are your own brand. You're pretty much a solopreneur. You work with small businesses. Give me a really short journey of how you became the Ramon Ray.
Yeah, and I must say, I wish I was solo some days. I do have a team of 5, but notwithstanding that, yeah, the short of the story is I think I don't think there is a short way, but the way that if they can help and serve others who want to build their personal brand, for me, especially over the last few years, it's been a lot of content. It's not for everybody. Some people want to do direct sales. Some people want to do word of mouth. Some people can do advertising. I've done none of that. Some of my colleagues have sent buckets of CDs and, cold call. All those work. But for me, it's been video, post, tweet, Instagram. And you build up that community, build up that following, and eventually to be paid, because we're in business to make money, right. A few people say, hey, Ramon, I see what you're doing. Let me work with you. And my core client base are very large brands who I work with to help humanize their brand. So I'm not a consultant. I don't do one-on-one calls with people or advise people on this, but I work at large brands.
Excellent. And so you say you're posting, and you mentioned you also have a team. So are you personally posting? I know with the videos, you have to be on camera because you really can't fake that face and that smile. But with the posts, do you have help with that?
Well, meaning there's several. So just to be clear, there's several parts of what we have. We do several things in our business. But what I mean, if a client comes to us and says, Ramon, we need 50 articles this year, I don't write all that. It may not even go out in my name. So just to be clear of, working with the large brands, the core of our business, that we have a team, just like Inc. Magazine, if that's helpful. But of course, if it's Ramon just sharing knowledge, that's me. But I meant to be clear, what people see of Ramon is just Ramon having fun. But the business end, how I make my money, is working with large brands to amplify their brands, if that's helpful.
Okay, so I guess we're going to talk about both ends then, as far as you building your personal brand, as well as how you help companies build their personal brand. Because a lot of the times I've dealt with big companies, and the last thing they want to do is be public. Actually, we work with this one big company that actually forbids us from actually posting anything that we do for them anywhere.
Got it. Yeah. So I think the differences are, of course, and there's some companies like that depending on what they're doing. But let's take a company like Verizon. Verizon only wants one thing. They want the world to know that they have a variety of phone services that can serve business owners. So they have billions of dollars, as it were, ads and all that they can do. But there's a budget they set aside, what they call influencer marketing, where they need people like Bruce, Ramon, to be a human, right? We all say what? Can you hear me now? That was revolutionized. Now, advertising made that happen. But the point being, a human is a great component to help selling. But regarding Ramon's brand, yes, Bruce. I mean, as far as building a brand, Ramon, it's waking up in the morning and saying good morning. And you do that 1,000 times. Over the course of time, people get used to, oh, Ramon's going to say good morning on a Facebook post today. And those who like it, they are attracted to you, if that's helpful.
Yep. And so we're talking about some of your beginnings. And one of your beginnings was working as an IT guy. And people probably didn't know this, but there were websites prior to 2000. And so I pulled this, I found this one.
Nice.
Your very first website. And this is what websites looked like 22 years ago.
That's right. No CSS.
So this was interesting. I found that, like, do we like this page? And, there are things like just basic text.
Sure.
So how has this kind of built your presence as well
Yeah, I think it's much of the same. I think that was, of course, banners and hard to do, and link exchange. I think I see them down there, the precursor to Google AdSense. So I think it's much of the same, Bruce. I think whether it's 20 years ago, there was content, it was beginning, people on AOL, Prodigy, searching for something. My kid is sick. How do I get his stomach fixed? Or I can't sleep at night, or I'm going through a nasty divorce, or I need to learn tips to start my business, LLC or S Corp. So I think humans have always had questions. Whether it's in Ben Franklin's time, you go to the middle of the town square and hear the gossip of the day. And I think whether it's 20 years ago or today, it's in some ways it's no different. The way it's different, of course, I was talking to Jim McCann of 1-800-Flowers. I was on a clubhouse with him and other people. And he said that the thing he can tell young people is that today there are so many options. You can have your ears plugged in while you're on a jog and listen to podcasts and have such a variety of content. So I think that's the big differences, Bruce, that I'm seeing for small businesses, is that we have the ability that anyone can be a publisher. Anyone can say, you know what? I want to talk about this topic my way, because that's the unique thing, that we are unique. Nobody else can be us. And that's the beauty of, I think, of the content we have today. There is so much of it, but yet we can make it special.
Yep. And so how do you have to pull teeth to get an entrepreneur or celebrity CEO to be out there?
No, well, it depends. I mean, for example, if there are some people who may not be good on camera, or some people may be hard. You ask them, for example, you have the head of the CEO who makes this clock, and you ask them, what does this clock do? Well, when I was with my grandmother, we used to make clocks. No, they weren't. And he goes on for 40 minutes. That's just not good for TV. You need to learn the art of, this is a clock. You hit this button, boop. When you hear this button, you do this, boop, and you can tell time, making it up. But so my point is, I think the principle of being the celebrity CEO, the principle, what I call personal branding, is a little bit of the aspect of a little bit of pizzazz. You have to be a clear communicator, being able to have something attractive that people want to be attracted to you. As I say often in personal branding, ask for a smile before you ask for a sale. So I think, Bruce, it's part of that. If you want to be, especially the celebrity CEO, but be comforted, those listening to us note, there's many ways to grow your business. Being a personal branding may not be for you, but I think it's helpful, yes, when you can communicate better. And I think everybody can have the opportunity to try to be the celebrity CEO of their business. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the books I've been reading is Jeffrey Gitomer, and one of his slogans is, if you can make them laugh, you can make them cry. So again, that's kind of building up personality. And is it easier to reach somebody if they already know you? Because you've been on camera, they kind of feel like they know you, and they'll take your call. And how do you get through that barrier?
Sure. Which barrier is that? Meaning the barrier of how to—
the barrier of the gatekeeper to get to the decision maker.
Sure.
If you want to talk to them, if they've been following you on your Twitter, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, that is how you do it. Yes, I mean, to your point, yes, as you have more content, people will reach out to you. That's for sure. As you have more content, people will reach out to you, and oftentimes you don't the gatekeeper you don't even have to worry about, because it's inbound marketing. People are coming to you and reaching out to you. So oftentimes that's a moot point. I find that if you're doing your job well and building content, the right people, as Seth Godin talks about, raising your flag, the right people will absolutely for sure want to come to you for sure.
And so you have a number of different venues. I think you kind of condense it into what? Events, community, and content.
Yep.
Where do you spend most time on those three?
Well, I can tell you where I want to get to. Put it that way. If that's helpful, then we can go back. But what I'm trying to do as I build Smart Hustle is I need to be the best leader to my team. That's where I spend my time. So I can talk about it for small businesses where they may want to learn on that. But as far as Ramon's concerned, my job, Bruce, is how can I find the right people, do the right things on my team, and be a leader to serve them and amplify them so they can then serve our community. So that's, I think, the biggest part of my time is reading books like Traction by Gino Wickman. How do I become a leader? How do I manage my time? How to prioritize? I think, well, to the point, though, when we talk about Smart Hustle, I think as far as events, community content, I think probably content production for me personally, because community, that's kind of natural. When I talk, it's talking to our community, but we have a community manager. So for our events, I have an event manager to help me produce it. So my time is spent, of course, managing, overseeing, visioning. But as far as like, are we going to use StreamYard, or are we going to use Zoom? Somebody else can manage that aspect. And then you have, of course, the content. So we have a team of writers, and it depends on what the content is. If it's writing for a client, then we have a client services person who can work with our writers and deliver that. If it's content that I'm doing, then sure, I can write that up and hit submit, and it goes either on smarthustle.com or on any of our social platforms. So I think my time is split, but I think the biggest part of the time really is being a better leader. And I love doing things like this, Bruce. This probably takes the most amount of time in a good way, is as the face of our company and as one who loves to serve. Man, I'm honored that Bruce said, Ramon, I think you have something valuable to share to the Bruce community. So could you come on my show, Ramon, and share that? That's what I enjoy the most. And that takes up a big part of week to week my time, which I'm happy to do.
And that's kind of the two different venues of getting out there, is creating your own content and then being a guest on other people's content. As a small business owner, where would you suggest people get started? Would you say start your own show, or would you say try to get it out there on other people's show?
Yeah, I think if I only had to say that, I would probably say both. But here's what I'd say. And again, I think there's two things. I think one, I would probably spend more time developing your own platform, developing your own brand, just being a nice person and saying, hey, you're a lawyer. Every week on Friday at 3 p.m., I'm going to get online and I'm going to post a short video, quick tips of how to do real estate law, whatever your tribe would be. I think that's really the big thing, because then that's how you can build the celebrity CEO. That's how you can build this aspect of asking for a smile. It means just serve first. That's this blueprint of what can you step by step. So I think that, and then I think once that happens, Bruce, people will start to come to you. It's a slower journey. Right. Because people want to work with people who they think can have some cash share, add value to their own show. But I think that then you have the right to go to a Bruce and say, Bruce, I'm an attorney. I've been helping people for years. Here's why you may want to have me on your show. So I think before you take the time to hunt and scratch and claw and beg people to have you on their show, producing your own content is probably the best way. And don't forget also, it's not just the podcast content getting other shows, but put your own content together. You know, we produce a lot of content just giving it. Smart Hustle, right? You can see right on the site, Bruce, our celebrity CEO blueprint. That's free. People can download all that stuff. So there's no selling we're doing at all. So I think that's the kind of thing that I'd encourage people to do. Produce your own video content, and what can you do to add value to share with others?
Yeah, so you just mentioned your website, so take that. And again, you actually have two different websites. You have both smarthustle.com as well as
RamonRay.com, but both are very similar. The content on Ramon Ray's at Smart Hustle too, so both are about the same.
So the question is, where do you separate yourself from Smart Hustle? I mean, because in most times, and actually for the number of years, I've been always searching for you as Ramon Ray, and just recently started to being led over to Smart Hustle. So where do you, as a celebrity CEO, separate yourself from the company?
I don't. They are one and the same. So meaning, let me explain it in the context of a small business owner. Let's say you have, pick a name of a hat, Bruce. Give me another example. I won't use a lawyer. Give me another type of small business we can think of.
Plumber.
Plumber, great. So plumber. Yeah, plumber can try to say, we're plumber, sons and daughters over here, and then I'm Joe the plumber over here. But I'm a firm believer that we small businesses, Bruce, we are so small, so tiny, we can't afford to have one thing over here, one thing over here. Why not combine them? So if Joe the plumber is at the International House Building Summit, why should he try to pretend, oh, we're big company X, Plumber Inc. over here, I'm hiding Joe? No, Joe the plumber, come on by. I'm here. I am. I can serve you and help you through the vehicle of Plumber Inc. Or people may know about Plumber Inc. because of the good work that Joe's doing, if that makes sense. So for me, they're one and the same. Now, I know there's many people who have a personal side to what they do. I have friends of mine, let's say, for example, somebody who owns this pen company. They may not be intrinsically tied to the pen company. They may, like in your case, Bruce, they want to say, I'm Bruce, private Bruce. On Facebook, I post a picture of my kids, my wife, what I had for breakfast. We had an outing with the nieces and nephews. You may wish to use Facebook for that. But for me, I'm so small, I'd rather be I'm teasing you a little bit. Bruce, the pen guy, buy the pen, or Pen Incorporated that Bruce adds value to, if that's helpful. So for me, Bruce, they're one and the same. There's no private Ramon like, oh, I'm marching on the streets, or I'm doing something weird. It's whether Ramon, Smart Hustle, don't matter to me. It's all one. We serve small businesses. Done. End of story.
So you talked a little bit about getting personal, posting things on Facebook.
Sure.
I've got one really deep question for you. When you go out for breakfast, let's say on a Saturday morning, how do you get someone to actually make your pancakes like that?
I don't. I don't have pancakes when I'm out. I make it only myself. But that's a good question to ask. Yeah, that's a Ramon thing that he does only for himself. But I love burnt pancakes and bacon on Saturday morning with a cold glass of milk for sure.
Okay, so yeah, because when we go out, my wife likes to have her pizza overdone, where the cheese gets black.
Interesting. Oh, that sounds
interesting. And every time that she sends out, like they send it back like we can't do that. We don't know how to do that. It's like, okay. So actually we started taking pictures. I was like, we want it like this. Okay.
Right. Got it. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Pizza gets us hard to make at home. So I guess that's a little different. But no, for me, yeah, that's a guilty pleasure that I do. Make it all my own. The house is quiet. I eat it early morning on Saturday just by myself.
So that's a unique part of you. So also talking about something unique, you had a great announcement today. You actually got a role in the movie The Matrix. I understand that. It being April Fool's Day, that you're working with the Oracle now, right?
I like how you put that. Wow, that was an interesting connection. Yes, indeed. I like that. So why is my interesting? Interesting. It's funny. I've never been called before on Facebook or whatever the app it is. Interesting. But yes, I was recently named as, I love that Oracle. You're a smart guy, Bruce. Wow. Recently named as Oracle NetSuite's entrepreneur in residence. And so I'm really happy to have that role. And basically that's a role that goes back to influencer marketing, but they're looking for someone to help create content, produce content, lead events, advise them. How can we better serve small business owners and especially high growth startups? How can we better serve them? And that's my role. And that's what I'm doing with them. And that was announced just today. It's on Smart Hustle and all my platforms. But thank you for acknowledging that. I think it's big. And I think it shows, Bruce, as well, that we small businesses can still do big things. We small businesses are still in demand by bigger brands. And I think that's what that shows amongst anything.
And how did they find you? Did you reach out to them or did they reach out to you?
Oh, and yeah, they reach out to me. And that's how most of my deals come. And I'm not saying this because I'm anything, but going back to that aspect of Bruce of being the celebrity CEO, I think that as you build your fan base and community, you probably have to do very little outbound marketing. If you're dialed in real tight to your core audience, everybody knows you. Everybody knows you. And when they need something, they're going to come and find you. So no, I didn't have to go hunt them down. They found me. And it wasn't that role. We've already been in conversations. I work with many large brands. That's what I do. So, all the tech brands, global brands in the world who are reaching small businesses, they know Ramon for sure.
So you're saying is you start off with them on a small basis here and there. You got to know them. You met up with them at a conference or something like that?
Right. Cover events and things of that nature. Yep. So the relationship was there. And I think part of that's a good thing. It's just like, the relationships we have between humans, right? Some guy and girl, they know each other. The question's no longer anymore, can I trust you or not? The question's more so, what can we do together?
Yep. So I guess that's part of the posting and creating content is you're out there, they get to know you. And then when they have that need, you're the person that comes to mind.
That's right. That's exactly right. Or me, or at least a very narrow. They're not looking around, who can help us? Who can help us? Hopefully my name was on their lips. And it happened just today. Somebody emailed me, a good friend of mine. He said, Ramon, I'm looking for someone to help me with LinkedIn. Now, there's a billion LinkedIn people out there, but immediately, with no question, 4 people came to mind. Joe Applebaum, Beth Granger, JD, Phil Gerbishak, and I think there was one other person. You see how even I rattle that off now? Because they're right in my mind as being LinkedIn experts. And I could, because they're in my face, I'm in their flow. And so I can easily recommend them to anybody who says, Ramon, and Mark Halpert, Ramon, we need a LinkedIn expert. These 5 people, instantaneously, not even a question.
Yep. Yeah, JD's on my short list too.
Good,
I
good.
actually grew up with him.
Nice.
He lived 4 houses from me, growing up in our neighborhood. So yeah, also on my list is Bryn Tillman and Vivica von Rosen.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. I love it. And by the way, I just noticed. Sorry for that late, but Jody, thank you for being here too. Appreciate it. I just looked at the comments.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. I was going to bring her comment up. Thank you. Jody is one of my biggest fans.
Nice.
We did a live Go Live in 5 group, and she actually participated in that.
Very nice.
She's got a great business here in town. And so some of the other questions I had were, what are you doing next? I mean, what you're holding seminars or conferences on occasion. I know you just had one last month. Are you planning another one soon?
Yeah, that's part of what we do. We do events all the time, not all the time, but either I'm participating in some of these events or producing events. But yes, we'll have events coming up in the next few weeks. People can see that at smarthustle.com. And I think the reason why I do events is I think that events are a great way, similar to this discussion here, Bruce. It's a great way to bring people together. So I think that's why I think events are important for small business owners. It brings people together. People like to learn. People like the real-time communication. And I think that's why they're so important. So I encourage small business owners, whether it's a small event like a webinar, whether it's a bigger event like I do, big summits, or in between, or a discussion with 2 people like this, events, I'm very bullish. I think the word is on them and are good things to do for sure.
Yes, we mentioned this earlier, events, community, and content. And all 3 are available through that.
Yep.
And your content is very valuable.
Thank you. Thank you. We try hard.
One of the things that I got most value out of was your book. And I've gotten partway through it. And I've learned that it's hard to read an entire book at one time, but most people read at least half of it.
Yes, we kept it very short, and that book is here, The Celebrity CEO. And by the way, if anybody wants to email me and mention the name Bruce, I'll send you a copy in the mail or Kindle. So just mention the name Bruce, and my email is ramon@smarthustle.com, and I'll send it to you. You have to say Bruce, and I'll send you on the first person to do that.
Great. I'll put them in the notes. So great. Yeah. So this is a great book. It's basically how to really get out there and become a celebrity, really. Because I think one of my goals as a kid was that one day 1,000 people would know me who I don't know. And I've got that on Twitter by itself, and I'm building my community on YouTube as well. But these days with social media, it's easier than ever because you've got a number of followers on all your platforms.
Sure. And which I wonder, Bruce, I wonder also sometimes, should I go broad? Should I just focus on one and build that up? I don't think there's any right way. I'm happy with how I'm doing it. Some people say it's wrong. Some people say it's right, but I'm happy with how I'm doing it. So
how are you real strong on one? Because I think you're okay. So you feel that Twitter is as strong as YouTube?
Well, Twitter, I have the most followers, but that's also been around the longest for me. I've been there the longest. But for me, I think they're all powerful. LinkedIn, I didn't 10,000 or so followers as well. So yeah, they're all pretty powerful for me.
Yeah, and these days, I think there's a difference between a follower on LinkedIn and a connection on LinkedIn. And most these times, if you're interested in the content that someone is putting out, you don't actually have to connect with them to get that content. You can actually follow them, which I find is great.
Yeah, following those powerful. And I think those are the people also, because all the time you don't want to connect with, you don't need to have a personal relationship or connect. Sometimes you just want to say, hey, when they post, let me see it. And tell you the truth, Bruce, there is so much going on today. We miss most of the content that people are posting anyhow, right? I mean, there's probably been 4,000 posts, billion posts today, just by the people I follow. We miss most of it. And that's just the nature of the beast. Which is why I think the power of frequency is so important. The person who posts once a week on LinkedIn, the person who posts once every other day on LinkedIn, most people aren't going to see that. But the more you do it and the more valuable it is, more people are going to see what you're posting.
So another key is a trick called batching, which I'm sure you're familiar with, where if you have 2 hours in a day, you put together 10 pieces of content, and that content goes over the next 2 weeks.
That works. And especially, but in that content, but even stuff that's in the moment, I'm posting all the time, so yeah, but it works.
I think the post this morning where you actually got interrupted that phone call was another one that came through. It was a remnant of this morning's post.
Could have been, absolutely.
Your announcement. So we're wrapping up. I know you're on a tight schedule for today.
No problem.
I had some questions. You do a podcast.
Yes.
What have been your 3 most challenging interviews?
I haven't had any. Really nothing. Yeah, maybe a year ago. I mean, many years ago, something. But no, I haven't had any challenges. Interviews are good. I love people, and I think I choose great people anyhow. So I'm asking people stuff they know intimately. So no challenges. I love people, and I think if there is a challenge, it's my fault. That means I haven't taken the time to understand who they are, what they like to talk about, or their style of interviewing. So if there's any challenges, it's probably my fault.
Okay, and let's get to know Ramon a little bit better. A little bit game of this or that. So Marvel or DC?
Marvel, maybe. I think Marvel.
So you're not a comic fan?
Not so much. I mean, I know I watched the Thor and the Iron Man, on Netflix or on movies, but yeah. But Marvel. I think Marvel makes those. I think.
Okay. For your watch, analog or digital?
Analog for sure. Yeah. I left it upstairs. Analog.
What's your favorite drink? Vitamin water or milk?
Probably milk. Milk, but I drink a lot of regular water. A lot of water. I hydrate myself, but probably regular water. Yes, or milk rather. If I had to choose between the 2.
I saw on your Facebook that you attended. I think it was like a dance rehearsal. So, what is your favorite type of dance? Is it tap or jazz?
Probably tap, because a friend of mine, it wouldn't have been my dancer. I'd probably sharing somebody else. I'm a terrible dancer, but tap if I had to pick one, because my friend Josh Johnson does it.
And you do a lot of traveling.
I do.
JFK or Newark?
Well, Newark only because I live in New Jersey. So, okay. Indeed.
Okay. And what's your favorite airport? Have you ever traveled to?
I like the state of Florida, if that's helpful. I'm not sure if it's my favorite airport per se. Airports, because I go in and through them so fast. I know some people know airports intimately, and I just, for me, it's just like a breeze. I go through it so fast. But I like the state of Florida. I just like the weather. So I'll morph that anything in Florida, I'll take it.
One time I was flying out of Tampa, and I breezed through security literally in less than a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fast. Probably has you have a nice smile.
There you go, and only no carry, and just one piece of carry-on.
That'll do it for sure.
So great, and again, let me pull up your website again. Follow smarthustle.com. There's also a RamonRay.com, not to be confused with Ray Romano. Sometimes when you Google Ramon Ray, sometimes Ray Romano comes up because they think you're looking for him, but you're not. 2 totally different people.
Absolutely.
Although you both have great smiles.
Thank you.
So great. And is there anything else you wanted to say?
Thank you for having me here. It's great to be here and serve. And I hope those listening, I hope you've learned something today. We've talked about content, personal branding, ask for a smile before a sale, serve others. And I think you'll be on your way to success. So I think that, Bruce, thank you for seeing value and letting me share some things with your community. Thank you.
Welcome. And I look forward to your next summit.
I appreciate that.
And again, for information on the summit, it's right there at smarthustle.com. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.